Okay, so the first thing that you will see whenever you open any SPSS software, that it will tell you to open an existing data source or open another type of file. There are also few options like run the tutorial, type in data, run an existing query, create a new query using database wizard. All these things you can skip and just press cancel. Right now, we are not interested to do any of these following. Okay. So as we have seen, there are different views. The first view is your data view, and when you click variable view, you can interchangeably go through each of these views. Now let's start by opening a SPSS data file. You go to File, Open, and then Data. I look for my files. And let's open the bank loan dataset. So this data is already available with you. It is available in the sample files when you install your SPSS. These are the sample files which help you to learn the SPSS software. Okay, so as you can see, this is the data view in which you have different variables at the top. So we call it columns or variables, and these are the rows or cases. You can scroll down. Okay, if you want to know more about these variables, you can go to variable views. In this is a variable view which gives the information about the variables. Okay, now let's go through each of these and see what all these variables are and what are their characteristics. Okay, these are by default. You can change it using the three dots. Okay, so the first characteristic of your variable is type. So this tells you whether your variable is numeric, comma separated, scientific notation, date, currency, or a string variable. The width tells what is the maximum length of your character, and if your data is numeric, if it has some decimal places or not. You can change it based on your data input requirement. The same thing that you see in here can also be changed using width and decimals. So both of them things are same thing. Labels give you a little bit of flexibility in terms of there are some variable characteristics that you need to remember while naming the variables. Like the variables should not start with any special characters and should most often, if you want to separate or you want to include two names together, then you need to use either underscore or dot. Okay, but these are not very meaningful. So if you want to give a label or a meaning to your variable names, then you can write the full name of the variable using spaces in the labels. The use of the labels is whenever you generate any output, instead of variables, your labels will be used as an output, and that adds a lot of meaning to your output. The very important characteristics of your SPSS is to have an ordinal or a nominal variable, which is a nominal in nature, but you can also define different levels. These are called value levels or value labels. Okay, so what it basically means is that there are numbers, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this all numbers represent something. Okay, so here in the values you can represent your numbers and assign some values to it. This is specifically needed if you have a nominal or an ordinal scale of data. Okay, I will show you how to move back and forth from looking just at numeric values and also the value labels. The other characteristic of the variables that we can specify are whether there is any missing values or not. Okay, so if you feel that, okay, I want to give some value, say -99, or some value which you feel is missing, then you need to specify it here. Say, for example, I say that whenever you find -99, or say -9, or say a very large value, say 999 or -999, please consider it as a missing value. So whenever SPSS finds such value in this variable, it will treat it as missing. But as of now, as a default, we'll keep it as none. Column width is not very important. It just gives the column width in the data view. Align is also related with the numeric type. So it is also not very important. Your measure is very important. So as you know, there are four types of measures: nominal, ordinal, ratio, and interval scale. You can specify three. Is the data ordinal? Is it ranking scale? Is it nominal? Or is it a ratio or interval, that is scale? Okay. In analysis, this is very important because most of the analysis in SPSS is impacted by whether your variables is ordinal, nominal, or scale. Okay. There is one more option called role. This is not available in all the versions, but it is sometimes also important if you are doing automatic analysis or SPSS defined analysis. This is something that we can learn afterwards. This is not very important. If you're running analysis and you know that what you want to run, then it doesn't matter whether this is a target input or something else. As of now, you can simply keep it as input. Okay, so now as I told you, you can switch from values to labels using this option, which is something like this. So as you can see now, the string variables are appearing. So instead of numbers, you are able to see the value labels that you have defined. So this is a very quick way of switching between values and value labels. Okay, now let's go and open a new data. Okay, so now this is a new data. You can simply start by typing a new variable name, say XYZ. Okay, by default, it will give it some things, some specific variable properties. You can change it, say temp, something like that. Suppose this is my serial number, and I will write here serial number. Okay, and then you can simply start inputting the data right here, and so on. Okay, so this is how you can simply insert like in a simple Excel sheet. Okay, but it is very important that you first define your variables in the variable view. Okay, and then you can simply save this data, and then this would be saved. Okay, so now we have seen new data. Similarly, you can use new syntax. Okay, so now you see there is a new syntax editor. Okay, we will see once we write our own syntaxes or save any syntax. We can open new output. Okay, we will also see output windows are generally automatically populated. And new script. A new script is an automatic uh, syntax, you can say, or a more advanced function of SPSS syntax where you can do automation. Okay, so script runs automatically, but this is for too advanced level. So as of now, we will just skip it. Okay, so now similar to data, opening new data, you can open an existing data, existing syntax, output, and script file. Okay. Okay, now we have opened an SPSS file. Now let's start and see how we can open an Excel file. So from any file which is open, you can simply go and open, and you will use simple open data. For any kind of data, this is the only command that you have to use. Now, to allow for us to look at if there is any Excel file open, you need to go and select all files. And now the SPSS files would be visible. We will try to open two files. First is the Excel file called bank.xls. So this is the Excel 2007 version. We simply have to select the file and we need to open it. It will ask us about the sheet information. So my file has only one sheet, so I will select sheet 1. If you want to open a particular sheet, then you have to select that sheet. I also have to tick if I have variables on the top of my Excel sheet. So I have the variable names in the first row of my Excel sheet. So I will check this box which says read variable names from the first row of data. Everything else remains default. Okay, so now you will see that I'm able to open the same file, the Excel file, in an SPSS format. And now you can simply save this file in any version you like, either in SPSS or any other version. When you go to variable you will see that SPSS based on your data will automatically define the variable types. If you want to change it, you can change it manually here. Okay, but one thing to remember, even if your variable is numeric, age, but if it finds any string variables, then the whole variable will be converted into string. So before doing any analysis or data entry, you need to be mindful about the numeric type, whether it is string, numeric, or date. Now let's open a CSV file. We will again go to File, Open, Data, select all files, and then bank.csv. Now for opening the CSV, that is comma separated files or comma separated value files, there we will be presented with some wizard. Okay, I will show you step by step how to follow instruction, and you will be able to, in just 6 steps or less than that, you'll be able to open any CSV file in an SPSS file. This is the first window. You do not have to do anything. You just have to click next. Now our file is comma delimited file. Okay, so we will just keep delimited. So it is selected by on. Are variables names included at the top of your file? So I will select yes. You will also see a little output of your CSV files, a little example below. So as you can see, there are variable names on top. So I will select yes. If my first variable are my variable names, then definitely my first case of data will begin from row number 2. So that is what I have selected. If you want to select a data, if you have a data starting from say row number 3, 4, 5, then you can change it using this. But because my row starts from second, I will select second. Each line represents a case. So I have each line representing one case. Okay, so I will just keep it as it is. How many cases do I want to import? Do I want to import all the rows, or do I want to import specific rows, say first 1,000 cases or rows? So right now I'll just keep it that okay, I want to select all the rows. So I have all my selections in place, so I will hit next. Now this is very important window. It is not always that your file will be comma separated. It can be tab, it can be space, or it can be any other thing. Okay, so you can specify it here. Say for example, it is say dot. Okay, but because it is not, I will not, and I will just keep it as comma separated. Everything else remains same. So this is the last step. So here, if you want to change the variable properties at this stage, then you can also do it here. But if you want to do it later on, you will just keep the default setting and hit next. In the last screen, you will be asked whether you want to save this to any particular file or you want to paste the syntax. Okay, I would prefer to have no because I do not want to repeat this procedure. If you are doing or if you want to open the same file again and again, then you can even save the syntax, but that we will save it to the next session. I will hit finish. And now you will see I have opened the same file, the same exact way, but using an CSV file. Now let's open a text file. So I have this text file with me. Let's see how we can open any text file which contains data. So similar to opening any comma separated value or any delimited file, the same thing would also be asked whenever you are importing a text file or a notepad file. It is very similar to comma separated. You have to write first, you need to keep it as default, you don't need to change anything. It is delimited, so it is text. It is text, but it is still comma delimited, so I'll keep it as delimited. If it is of fixed width, I will write fixed width. So if all your columns are of similar lengths, then you have to select fixed width. Are variable names included on top of your file? Yes. All other options remains the same. And I'll hit finish. Okay, so here you'll see that I am able to open the text file. Okay, so that is how you can open any file. You can also use read text data. So this is also a special kind of function which helps you to import the text data. I would prefer to use either this or the other one. It's the same thing. Okay, both of these things will show you the same thing. Read text data or through open. Okay, the other options that are available are close if you want to close the data, save, save as, save all data, and export to database. Okay, we will look at save as first as a way to save this data. Okay, now if you have any file which is an SPSS data file, and if you want to save it in some other version, there may be some loss of functionality. Okay, so you need to be aware of that. Okay, but if you want to save your SPSS file and you need to save it in an Excel or a portable SPSS file that you can use on other systems, then you can do it here. Okay, suppose I want to save this file in a comma separated file, then I can definitely do like this. Okay, so now that file would be saved here as a comma separated file. The other functions are save all data. So basically what it will do, it will ask you to save all your data, like your output files, your syntax files, and so on and so forth. Okay. There are some more function called export to database. Now these are very specific if you are doing any work with the MS Access database or something like that. But this is something which you will not use much. And as for sake of simplicity, we will right now skip it. rename dataset. So right now, if you see, if you open any data, right? So if you see, there are two things that are mentioned, untitled 3 and dataset 3. So SPSS gives you this functionality that with the same file name, you can have different dataset name. Okay. There is no difference if you can just keep it the same thing. The difference really lies when working with a lot of SPSS files and there are a lot of data sets which are needs to be open at the same time. If you're not doing such a large project and if you're not working with say multiple data sets, then just keep this as default. This is also very handy when you are working with any script file or syntax file where you need to have a specific data set name. Okay, but as of now, you do not need this, so you will just skip it and just go with the default version. Display data file information. So here it will show you all the data information for working file. So all the variable informations, and if there is any external file that you want to look at, okay, I don't want to open the external file, I just want to look at, okay, what is the information or what is the variable names, then you can simply look at that. So as of now, when I've done this, it has generated an output and it has told me about the file information. So where is the file located, what are the variable names, and what are the variable characteristics. Okay. The other things that can be handy is print and opening the recently used data and recently used files and exit. So these are all the functions that you can use in the file menu. These are mainly related to opening, saving, editing, and exporting any data into SAS, SPSS, comma separated file, text file, or an Excel file. Okay. You can also try opening an a SAS file. It also opens very easily. I do not have an example of SAS file, but you can also open the SAS file using the same open and data function.